So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. Um, Let me just start away. So I'm Hadas. I am a community manager at Canva, and I'm also a CCC, which is a Canva certified creative. I come to you today all the way from Israel. So hello, everyone, and shalom. And now let's just start beginning. What is understanding what is going to happen between us in the next 60 or 90 minutes. So I would like to talk to you in this session about out of the box. What is it? Understand how do we use it? How do we think outside of the box? Then I would like to show you some examples, give you some killer tips, how to wow your audience while presenting. I'm also going to do some unboxing with you. I'm going to give you my own private examples from my private life, business life, some presentations out of the box that worked for me. And I'm going to give you some inspirational, educational, entertaining examples. And then we're going to do some fun exercises. So having that out of the way, understanding exactly what we're going to do here, I want to talk to you about what does outside of the box mean. Let's understand this before we jump into presentations out of the box. So this is where I actually want to share with you something, kind of a confession that I have that not many people know about me, and I'm not actually too proud of it. But I decided I will share it with you because I think this is my first example that I can share with you that illustrates what is thinking outside of the box. This is me, 8 years old, fourth grade, and what you see on the right is my homework. And my confession is that never in my life, in my 12 years of elementary and high school, never once did I do my homework. I'm not proud of this, but the reason I'm sharing this with you is a story that happened, or a real thing that happened, was that I came into class one Monday morning on fourth grade, and the teacher asked everyone to open their notebooks and let's go through our homework. So as you remember, I never did my homework. And then she just approached me and said, Hadas, please share with us your answer to the first question. So as I understood the situation, I had two options. I think most people would think they have two options. Number one would be to admit I did not do my homework and accept the F that I deserve, or make up some dumb excuse that the dog I don't have ate my homework or something like that. What actually happened is that I came up with a third option. And what I did is I took my notebook and I put it upwards so the teacher could not see what's in it or what's not in it, opened it on a page that had something written in it, and made up an answer. And as I was making up this answer, I remember thinking that I need my eyes to move at the right pace so this will be believable. And I should jump from one line to another so she can believe I'm actually reading something that is written there. So that's what I did. And then she said, bravo, great answer. Thank you very much for sharing this with us. Unfortunately, some of the kids at the back of the classroom were chatting and they did not hear your answer. So can you please repeat it? This is what went in my head. Okay, what do I do now? So I did not lose it, and I just read the answer again, trying to replicate the words and the pace and the exact spot. I jumped from one line to another, and then she said, good job, and continued with the lesson. So until today, I don't really know if I was given the benefit of the doubt and was actually busted, but got an A for an effort, or I was able to fool her. But what I did here actually was thinking outside of the box, and maybe the first time I was thinking outside of the box. And the two things that make this an outside of the box action is that you have a win-win situation. You are actually able to do something that no one loses. No one gets hurt. You are not doing anything illegal. You're not hurting anyone. You're not going over anyone. This is a win-win situation. I won, the teacher won, and the classroom won. They did not need to read their homework. The second thing that needs to happen is that nothing is impossible. that you have no limits, that you can do whatever it is you want to do, whatever goal you set for yourself, and you can reach it, you can accomplish it. So if it's a win-win situation and the nothing is impossible cliche maybe is relevant, then you have your way, your gold ticket to thinking outside of the box. So the next story I want to share with you is not my personal story, and perhaps some of you already heard this before, but for those who haven't, I just want to run through the story because I think this is an excellent example of thinking outside of the box. Once upon a time, there was a man who drove his car. And as he was driving by a bus station, he saw three people. He saw the woman of his dreams. He saw a good friend that saved his life once. And he saw an old sick lady. All these three were at the same bus station, and he was told he can only pick up one person in his car. Who will it be? Now, as you see the situation, you have three options, three very difficult options. And what are you going to do? You're going to waste a lot of time thinking who is going to be the lucky one that you're going to pick up in your car. So I'm going to go ahead to the end of the story and tell you what this man did. What he did is he gave his car keys to his good friend that saved his life once, so he can drive the old sick lady to the hospital while he was waiting at the bus station with the woman of his dreams. So this story actually illustrates that you think you have only three options, but there is a fourth option and maybe even a fifth option. This is thinking outside of the box. It's a win-win situation because everyone wins and nothing is impossible. So let's try and exercise this a little. This is a box, okay? Quite simple, clear box. What people usually do when they are asked to think outside of the box, or they decide they want to think outside of the box, is they just think outside of the box. And that's the wrong way to go. If you start with thinking outside of the box, you are losing a lot of information along the way. What do I mean? Okay, step number one, the first thing you need to do when you want to think outside of the box is think inside the box. You need to understand your boundaries, your limitations. You need to define your goals, your mission, and understand exactly what is holding you. What are your options? What are the possibilities? Once you understand this while in the box, this is the time where you step outside of the box. You start thinking differently. Okay, these are the things that I'm expected to do or that I am allowed to do. And now I'm going to think of other possibilities. What can I do differently? What can I do that is impossible, but is it really? Impossible things are only impossible until they are done. Only then you will think outside of the box. And once you think outside of the box, this doesn't end here. You build your own box around your new box, and you understand your new boundaries, your new limitations. And once you do this, step number 5 would be repeat. And so you move on thinking inside the box and outside of the box as you move along and proceed. I want to give you a box. Jess will shortly share with you a link in the chat box, and you will actually have this template where I created a box for you. And I want you to write inside the box one thing that you do for your business or for yourself. It can be something in the past, something you did in the past, or something you're working on right now, or something you dream about doing. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be business related. It can be something personal, but just one thing. And once you do that, you will have a text box ready for you. You just have to double click there and type whatever it is you want to enter in the box. Once you do that, you go to the next slide, and then you step outside of the box. You need to challenge the status quo. You will write outside of the box. You will have a text box outside as well. And you will write something about how you can do things differently. What you wrote inside the box, how you can accomplish your goal, your mission by doing something differently. Think of the impossible. Think of what you always thought that is not relevant even to give it some thought. Dare to ask yourself, what if? Now, I know I'm going to give you about 4 minutes to do so. I know that 4 minutes is not a long time, but you can do this exercise also later on and think about this deeper. But for now, let's just experiment with this a little. And I'm going to put a 4-minute timer on the screen. And just, I think, is it already in the chat box?
Great. Yep, that link is in the chat box. So feel free to click on the bit.ly link to open it up in your own browser and have a go at the thinking out of the box activity.
Yay, time's up.
Okay.
Just click on the 0 again, I think, and it goes away. You have
that little cross
button. So I hope you enjoyed this activity. You can, of course, continue this later on your own time and build this as many slides as you need. So moving on after this exercise, I would like to jump to the next subject, which is, what is a presentation? No, I am not going to talk to you about what is a presentation. I am not going to teach you how to create a presentation. What I am going to do here is talk about what is a presentation out of the box. It's not just any presentation. So let's say I would like to present to you or talk to you about what is a presentation. What many people would do, maybe not most people, but some, is find a definition for a presentation, put it on a slide, and then read this through. And you don't want to do that. When you do this on a presentation, you lose the attention that you actually want from your audience. And an audience can be a one-on-one, it can be a classroom, a theater, a stadium. It can be so many variations. But when you put on a slide like this, people are too busy trying to understand what it is that they need to read, what is important. They need to digest a lot of information, and you are talking at the same time. So if you're just reading this, it's boring. And if you're talking about something else, it's confusing. So this type of slide is not very recommended. So what most people would do is just highlight the first sentence, which is the most important one maybe, and just talk about that, which is a good option, but there is a better one. What I would do if I would give you a webinar about what is a presentation, I would put my slide visually like this. The sentence that you see, the text on the left, is exactly word for word the white text here. But when you put it, when you wrap it up like this, then it's much clearer, easier to digest, to understand, and to follow. When you use a very powerful image as a background that visualize what you're talking about, then you are creating this kind of positive engagement with your audience. When you are creating a presentation or when you are presenting a presentation, you are the main subject, not your slides. Your slides are there to assist you and not vice versa. So let me give you 4 quick tips for a killer presentation. There are many, many, many more, but as I said, this is not how to create a presentation webinar, but there are 4 tips that I want to share with you that will help you create the perfect presentation out of the box. And I will get there, don't worry. So my number 1 tip would be always use one message per page, per slide. Don't overload your slide with multiple messages. Keep it very clear, very, very precise. Use contrast. When I talk about contrast, it's when using fonts, use very contrast fonts if you're using more than one. And when using colors, use contrast colors. If you use more of the same, then everything looks like more of the same and you're losing your audience attention. The 3rd tip, I'm going really quick with these tips, is use a good sized font. If you use small fonts and you have a large amount of text in your slide, people are squeaking their eyes. I'm not sure there's a word, squeaking, but you get it, right? When you do that, when your audience needs to move closer to the screen, you don't want that. You want your audience relaxed. You want them to be able to look and see what you have on the slide without stressing it too much. So a big size font can do the job much better than a lot of text, small sized fonts. The 4th tip would be to slice your information. You always have a mass of information that you want to share or that you want to teach or whatever it is that you want to do in your presentation. So slice it up to small chunks. If you want to teach your audience how to grow strawberries, the background photo is amazing. And the text is, well, not too much text, but it's very difficult to follow you. If I really want to teach people how to grow strawberries, I will slice up this information and present it like this. Use a very powerful background photo. One image is good enough. Use some infographics to slice up your information and cut it into phrases. Everything I have on this slide, I have also on this slide, but it looks much better this way, and I can teach people how to grow strawberries in a much more efficient way. So these are my 4 tips for a killer presentation. So let's talk about types of presentations, because there are so many types of presentation. You can create an informational presentation or an inspirational. Sometimes you just want to persuade someone or motivate, educate. So many types of presentations. So when will it be right to use a presentation out of the box method? So you're probably asking, okay, Hadas, we have presentations, we have out of the box. How do you combine them together to create a presentation out of the box? Here I go, I'm getting there. The number one thing that you do when you are asked to create a presentation or decide to create a presentation, you think about dimensions. This is the intuitive thing to think about. If you have a screen, that you will probably open a template and you will choose the dimensions of 16 by 9 or 9 by 16 or 4 by 3, depends on the screen. And that's what most people do. But what if I told you that you can create a document, an A4, and present it as a presentation? You don't necessarily have to save your A4 as a PDF or a PNG or a JPG. You can also share it as a presentation. You can also create a letter and send it as a presentation. You can create a flyer and send it in several ways. You can share it with your audience as a PDF or as a PNG, as a static photo, or as a presentation. And also, dare I suggest, use the plus sign to open a custom dimension Canva work screen. So having that said, if you can create it, you can always present it. Don't be fixated. Don't be limited to think that a presentation always needs to be only a presentation. You can make anything you want a presentation. And why do I say this? Why do I like presentations so much? Because you enjoy all worlds. When you share something as a presentation, audio, music will be heard, videos will be played, animations will be floating around your screen, links will be clickable, and you can always share your presentation with anyone, whether they are Canva users or not. No sign-in required. So when you have all of these, why not share your design as a presentation? When you share something as a PDF, you don't have the videos, you don't have the audio, you don't have the animations. So presentations would be always a great choice. So the next thing you would think after dimensions is a topic. Okay, I need to have a topic. So a topic is important, and let's build our presentation around the topic. But a topic is not enough. You need a great topic. Okay, so you went through and thought about a great topic, and you have this wonderful great topic, but still, a great topic is not enough. You can have a great topic, but a so-so presentation. I have been to so many great topic presentations, but I was bored as hell. So what you need to do is, the name of the game is how you present it. That's your win-win situation. So you have the right dimensions, you have the great topic, and now you need to present it to create a wow effect. So here I'd like to make a pause and talk to you about the 6 Words Memoir by Ernest Hemingway. So for those of you who never heard this before, Ernest Hemingway, so it's told that he was sitting in a bar with his friends, and they challenged him that he could not write a story using only 6 words. Not 5, not 7, only 6. So he took up on this challenge and he did it. He wrote a 6-word story. And what he wrote was this: For sale, baby shoes, never worn. So maybe at first glance, you would say, huh? How is that a story? What was he thinking? But when you actually think about this, what happens is when you read these 6 words, you start imagining, you start building up a story, you start filling in the blanks, you start asking yourself questions. Why did the baby never wear these shoes? Why are they for sale? Who's selling them? Who bought them? Where was this published? In a newsletter, in a newspaper, on a window? You start building a story, and you can easily write a great novel based on these 6 words. So I did this little experiment with some of my friends. Although I have no doubts that Ernest Hemingway knew what he was talking about, I wanted to check it for myself. So I asked some of my friends to write to me 6 words that describe something, their life story, their feelings, their thoughts, anything. And I thought that I would get the reaction of like, oh, come on, I can't do this in 6 words. But surprisingly, I got some interesting 6-word memoirs. So I'd like to share with you just a few. A friend of mine who's a kindergarten teacher wrote to me, if you don't look, you don't see. This sums up everything she believes in. And I was just finding myself walking through and thinking about this. Wow, this is so true. And I remember that when this happened to me and I didn't do this and I didn't see and I was looking and I missed out, and things start floating and you build the story around these 6 words. So you have the limitation of using only 6 words, but once you understand your limitation and you use it, you think inside of the box, only then can you think outside and elaborate. So here's another example from another friend of mine who's also a kindergarten teacher, but not the same one. I learned everything in kindergarten. What an interesting story. That got me thinking, what does that mean? Did she learn everything when she was in kindergarten, or is this when she goes to work every morning, or both, a combination? What did she learn? Who did she learn from? What's the best thing she learned? I'd like to talk to her. This is interesting, etc., etc. My third example is from a college student that wrote to me, every pound I gained, I enjoyed. Very simple. I can easily relate to this. And also this gets you thinking. I'll share with you my 6-word memoir. And for people who don't know me, I think these 6 words actually introduce me very well. I use Canva. What's your superpower? So if you don't know me, then you know that I like Canva. I use Canva. What is Canva? What do you do with Canva? Why is it a superpower? How do you use it as a superpower? What are you able to do? What can you teach me? Etc., etc. This goes on, and you fill in the blank. So now your turn. What I would like you to do now is to write your 6 words that tell your story. It can be just a feeling or a thought or something that happened the other day. There is no right or wrong. Just make sure you use 6 words exactly, not 5, not 7. And you can write them in the chat box if you'd like to share them. And I'll give you 4 minutes to do that as well. So I'll just put on the timer now, click on the 4 key, and there we go.
Okay, so we've got some beautiful ones coming through already. Gillian, the best 6-word story I've read before is he fell in love, she didn't. Oh,
wow, powerful.
Ryan says, I'm allergic to thinking small. Nice.
I like that.
Every sale I make, I cherish. Life without breaks never gets boring.
Wow, true.
That sounds like a thrill ride. Selling a TV hasn't been bought. I learned more when I listened. I dream
Wow.
and I work for it. Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah. A family of 5 I love.
Every 6 words like that, you can write a novel.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I like this one. Whatever it is, balance is the key. There's some wisdom in there. Yeah. If you don't look, you bite your toe and you fall. Yeah, that's true. Patricia, just walk slowly and you'll go far. Thinking is living other lives. California by birth, Scotland by choice, says Thea. Scotland.
Hey, Thea.
Yeah, I'm a mum. I love it. Nice, concise. When you're down, you'll get up. Dream, work for it, gain happiness.
Wow, this is beautiful.
I tried. I failed. I'm sorry.
Wow, so true.
You're good at coming up with these, guys. I like the creativity here. Never expect anyone to change you. I was once lost, but now found. If you're
Wow.
passionate with it, do it. Yeah. There's some good ones here.
I'm the creator of my story. Wow.
Yeah. There's a lot of truth coming through here. I'm a granny and so happy. Good on you, Helena. Life is a celebration. Always enjoy it. When you earn it, you learn it. That's a good one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Rejections can really make you stronger. Yep, I think that's true in a lot of industries. Yeah. Well, it turns out we could write a lot of books from this, couldn't we?
Yes. Oh, the sun is hot. Coffee, please. You can take this to so many different directions, everyone with his own interpretation. This is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a few more coming through, but I'm just going to surface a quick question that's come through in the Q&A, which is, how do you decide? And I know that this has been described in the past as a bit of a dark art, which is font choosing. How do you decide? What's your top tip, Hadas, for choosing the right font when you're making a design?
Okay, so I have a few. It should be very easy to read, very clear, clean, crisp font. Don't use too many, curved text if you want people to really understand what they're looking at and be able to read it in less than a second. My number 2 tip is if you're using more than one font, then try to stick to 2 fonts only. And if you do that, make them contrast. Don't use 2 fonts that are too much alike because then it looks like something went wrong. Make sure that the 2 fonts, they complement each other, but they are very different from each other. That would be my 2 main tips, and also use a good sized font when doing so.
Excellent. Those are good tips. Another quick question, how can one put links in a presentation? So that's a pretty quick one.
Easily. You can just, actually anything can be clickable. It can be a text box, it can be an element, a photo, a video, anything can be clickable. All you have to do is click on your object and then go to the top white bar. You have an icon there of 2 links attached together. And then you just click on that, you get this window where you can copy paste your link wherever you want to redirect your audience. And then you just click on apply and it's clickable. 2 things that you just need to bear in mind is that I recommend you do a copy paste for the URL and not type it manually, because sometimes we miss out on a slash or a dot or anything. So make sure that you copy paste the link. And the second thing is that it will be clickable when you are presenting, and also clickable on PNG and website, but those are the only formats that it will be clickable. So make sure you don't do an MP4 with clickable link, because it's not going to be clickable.
Fantastic. And that takes us to the end of our timer.
Yay, time up. That was exciting. I can't wait to see the rest of your 6 words. So maybe if we have time at the end, we could share some more. That was really interesting. I loved it. So let me just close this and let's continue. Okay, now is the time that I would like to do some unboxing. I would like to take you with me to my private journey of presentations out of the box. And I have created numerous types of presentations out of the box that I'm going to share with you right now. Now, the first thing I want to share with you, and maybe you will think, parenting? Well, actually, you can parent using a presentation, and I will explain. I have 4 kids. My eldest daughter will soon be 19. And she is at the moment not living at the house. She went on a journey, a very interesting one, and she's learning a lot of new things. And in this journey, she was offered to go on a specific training, which she really wanted to do, but couldn't decide exactly when. She was offered to start this training this May. Well, we were already there, or postponed it to August. This was a huge dilemma that she just couldn't make up her mind, and time was ticking. Now, as a parent, I could not do all the parenting stuff because she's not at home. She's not very available over the phone. So I couldn't guide her. I couldn't be this consultant you can consult with and give her the support I wanted. And as a parent, it drove me crazy. So what I decided I was going to do, since Canva is my superpower and she's my daughter, so obviously she has Canva on her smartphone. What else? I decided I'm going to create this presentation for her that she will watch whenever she has the time, maybe before she goes to bed, and I'm going to try to remotely parent her. And this is what I did. Actually, this was in Hebrew, and I translated this for you. So I hope it goes well in English. So she opened up her phone, opened this mobile first presentation that I did, and it was like this: help. They want me to start a new training. Okay, here's the topic, here's the problem. When should I do that? May versus August. What a huge dilemma. So I put all the reasons why she should say yes to going to the training during May. So to get it done with, better chances to be promoted, I have high motivations, etc., etc. And then I put all the reasons why she should say no to May and put it on the screen. And then I did this for August as well. Yes and no, all the pros and cons. And then now let's look at the full picture, the parent in me. And on one page, on a one pager, I actually put all the reasons why she should say yes and no to each option. When seeing this visually on one page, it makes everything much clearer. Then I give her instructions. Moving on to the next page, pick one from each option that is most important to you. There were about 3 or 4 options or reasons why she should say yes or no. I asked her to pick one. So she copy pasted each one. This was a blank yes, no page, and she just pasted the reason, the number one reason why she should say yes and no. And then I asked her to use this brush stroke to mark what means most to her. Again, a copy paste. She just copied this and pasted it on what was more important to her, which was, okay, I will say no to May. It's too fast for me. That's the main reason. And the main reason for saying no to August, because it might not eventually happen. And then I asked her, did it make things clearer? And she went, well, she told me, she went back and forth. And then she decided, okay, too fast for me is much more important and crucial in this case, then it might not happen, because it will most likely will happen. And so she made up her mind and she said no to May. Of course, I ended this with a love you, and I parented her remotely. She was sitting in the middle of the night with her smartphone doing this presentation and deciding on this huge dilemma. So you can actually parent with a presentation. Sounds surprising, but you can actually do that. The next example I want to share with you is a newsletter. Many of us create newsletters and share it with the outside world. And usually we do that by sharing a PDF or some kind of PNG or a JPG, or use a third party to do so. But what if I told you that you can create a newsletter and share it as a presentation? Remember, you are enjoying all worlds when you are sharing something as a presentation. So I've created this newsletter just to illustrate what it would look like. So let's say I have this presentation. Let me click to play audio. And this newsletter is actually blinking. And as I'm scrolling, this is so much fun. Okay, and I can read this as the music plays at the background, and this is much more fun to read the newsletter. It's kind of interactive. So you can easily, let me just close this. You can easily share your newsletter that you already made and shared as a static image or a static file as a newsletter, and it brings a new dimension. It brings a thinking outside of the box newsletter. Another example I'd like to share with you is memorials. And this is something from my private life. I live in Israel, and in Israel we have two very significant Memorial Days that just recently happened. And one is the Holocaust Memorial Day, and a week later, it's the Fallen Soldiers Memorial Day. And these Memorial Days are very significant in Israel. The country shuts down, everyone is united, we have ceremonies, everything works around these days. And what happened last year? COVID happened, and these ceremonies were canceled. For the first time, people were not able to share their memories, to share their feelings with other people that they were used to in the past. And they found themselves just being alone and bare and not able to do anything. So I decided I'm going to share with my Israeli community a template that I actually created as a presentation where people can, free of charge, just download the template, use it, and put in their memories, their photos of their dear ones, and share it with anyone around the world. Now, I was thinking kind of small then, because I thought this would be kind of like an alternative ceremony or a private thing that they can use just to feel that they're doing something for their loved ones. Let me share with you this template, although, oops, it's in Hebrew. I'm just going to go quickly through the slides just to make this more realistic. So this is the Holocaust Memorial Day presentation, and people just use this to put their text in, the letters, the stories, their memories from their family. They could also put in photos of their dear ones, and they can also change the slides, drag and drop, and do whatever they feel that they want to do. And what this created actually, it was a bigger thing than I anticipated. This digital ceremony was much wider than I was thinking about. I thought of something personal that people can use just, to be able to do something. But people shared this over Zoom and shared this by sending it to people through emails and social media. And they were able to share their stories or their loved ones' stories with so many people around the world that maybe with the ceremony where we actually physically meet and talk about in our living room or anywhere outside is limited. And this actually opened up this huge possibility to share our families, our heritage, our memories from our stories with anyone around the world. And so these templates, these presentation templates, are actually a tool that you can use to create not only memorials, but also photo albums, or anyone that you would like to share your story with, or remember our dear ones that are no longer with us. So this is a very powerful tool that you can use other than just teaching and educating people. My next example from a different world, jumping into a different kind of presentation, is a recipe. Now you might think, okay, a recipe, come on, a recipe. Okay, so I designed a recipe. I'm going to share this in my blog. It's going to be a PNG, a PDF, a JPG, whatever. It's just a recipe. But no, you can create a recipe as a presentation. And there are so many pros to doing that. Another story from my life: in the past 4 years, I live in a small village, and every summer, for 2 weeks, I am in charge of a summer camp for kids from 1st grade to 6th grade. And during the summer camp, I do a lot of activities, but again, COVID happened, no summer camp. So what we did last year, we had this website, we did a lot of digital activities, a DIY and videos and stuff like that. And one day was a baking day. So intuitively, I would think I would make a recipe and share an image, a photo. But no, I decided I'm going to create a presentation, which makes everything much more interesting and fun to watch. So the kids would open their screen, their iPhones, smartphones, tablets, whatever, and just as they move forward while preparing their special pancakes, they can just move around at their own pace. Let me show you exactly what it looks like. So I had the audio, of course. Let me just put the volume a bit up. Okay, and now they are, wait, this is too loud. Now they are just going, to their fridge or their pantry and they pick up the ingredients. So they take the 2 eggs. So for some, it takes 2 seconds. For the others, it may take half a day, but they are still on this page. And only when they have their 2 eggs, they move forward, and so on until they get to the method part. And when doing the pancakes, let me just jump in a big bowl. Okay, let me get a big bowl. What this does is actually you don't need to always run back to the start and see exactly where was that I left off. So you have the screen, you have the music. It's really fun. You're in your kitchen and you're creating the best pancakes in the world. So this is another use of presentation that you can use just to share a recipe with anyone. You don't always need to have an interaction with your audience. It can always be something that you just send to someone. They use it at their own time, whenever they have the time, and they watch your presentation. The last, that's the last example I want to share with you, is an interactive game. Now, it sounds like a big wow, interactive game. Wow, I'm not a gamer. But what you can do if you want to share, maybe you're an educator, you have students, you want to teach someone something, you can create a 1-pager, which can be some kind of an escape room or a game, a quest, and have your audience play around to share with them your information. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Here I created a 1-pager, which the assignment is to find your 5 tasks. And if, let's say, for example, I'm a teacher, I have students, I ask my students to wander around this 1-pager and click on different objects. Only some are clickable. You'll have to find them. And once you click on them, you are redirected to some kind of task. So for example, if I would click on the sword, I would be redirected to a YouTube channel. And then you can see a tutorial and learn something new about Canva. Let me close that. If I'd click on the mountain, nothing would happen. And so they move around, and you can create in this 1-pager, a 1-pager presentation that redirects your audience to anywhere you'd like. It can be a template, it can be a YouTube channel, it can be an email message that you want them to write something to you. You have so many options. You can also add music. I did not add music on this one just because too loud, but you can use videos, you can do anything in this 1-pager and create a presentation that, well, you wouldn't naturally think of creating. So having all of this said, remember this at the beginning, our icebreaker activity where I ask you to write 1 word that describes presentation. Let's take a look what you wrote down there. I'm really interested to see what I'm going to find. So actually what we did here is a brainstorm template. This was a brainstorming real-time collaboration. We all jumped in at the same time and we were able to see what we are doing, who's doing what. And we have here some interesting words that describe presentations: creativity, tutorials, expressing, showcase, data, fun, demonstration, wow, awesome, delivering. These are amazing words. Again, there are no right or wrong words. They all describe presentation, mind-blowing. And what you did here actually is you were thinking outside of the box. Maybe you were aware of it, maybe you were not aware of this, but actually you were thinking outside of the box. I ask you to step outside of your limitations of what a presentation is, because we all know what a presentation is. We have our limits, but I ask you to think otherwise and describe your presentation in a different 1-word description. So this is actually thinking outside of the box. You don't need to be born with a special genetic gene or something to be able to think outside of the box. Yes, for some people, it might be easier or faster, but anyone can think outside of the box. Anyone that just understands the steps of thinking first inside and then stepping outside. So going back to my presentation, this was very interesting. I would like to maybe sum everything that I just talked about in 1 word, and that is dare. Dare to ask yourself, what if? I don't know if you've noticed, but I've used the what if sentence so many times in this presentation, in this webinar. What if I do things differently? What if I think differently? What if I dare? So dare to do the impossible. Bear in mind, it should always be a win-win situation. We don't want to break the rules and do something wrong. Just, stay in your safe zone of a win-win situation. And I'd like to quote Israel's ninth president that is no longer with us, Shimon Peres. And he said, I love this sentence. He said, those who don't fantasize don't do fantastic things. So dare to fantasize, dare to try, dare to do the impossible, and you'll get there. You are able to think outside of the box because anyone can. So just before we wrap up things, probably I see some questions in the Q&A. If you'd like to ask anything, I'd be more than happy to answer. And after we do that, you are very welcome. And I would greatly appreciate if you could give a feedback using this link or scan this code and feedback this webinar. And I'd like to say a very big thank you. So I'm here for your Q's and A's.
Brilliant, because we have a lot of Q's and A's. So big thank you to you also, Hadas. A lot of love in the chats about your innovative use of presentations. People really love the ideas that you shared today. The newsletter is getting a lot of love as well. People thinking these are such great ideas. You've inspired people to use them in other ways, making greeting card presentations and all sorts of things. So
wonderful. Wow.
Yeah, so we've got a few questions in the chat. Some of them might, if you're able to demo a couple of things, it might be helpful for people to learn, but some of them we can just answer quickly. Like Ellen has a question. What is the minimum font size that you recommend for using in presentations?
I think it would be minimum 30, but it really depends how much text you have there. Sometimes using a really big font is not going to serve you right. So it really depends what it is you want to be the focal point, which is what people see the first time you open your new slide, and what is the most important thing you want to catch their attention with. So I would start there, and what you saw on your screen while I was presenting, that would be a good size font. Also bear in mind, where are you presenting? Because if you are presenting in a really large stadium and you have this kind of small screen, then you would use a bigger font. Or if this is a Zoom presentation, then it has to be proportional to the screen. So also bear in mind where you're presenting, what type of screen you're showing this.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Lauren had a question. Can you use presentations as a Facebook story or Facebook post with all the links and audio and video?
What you can do on Facebook is share a link. You can't share the image as it is. It can be a link, but you can always write your post and then say you're adding a link to the presentation, and then people can just follow it and see your presentation. But it won't really be like the photo, the image itself. It can only be a link. That's on Facebook. You always share a link, but once people click on it, they get the full screen and you're in.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. If you are sharing your newsletter, do other people also have to have Canva to access the website links or the newsletter links or templates that you might share?
Okay, that depends what you're sharing. First of all, the newsletter itself, when you share it with people as a presentation, they don't need to sign into Canva. You can share your presentation with anyone, whether they have Canva or not. The importance of having a Canva account begins when you are sharing a template. For example, if I will go back just a few slides to my newsletter, if you have, or maybe I should go to the interactive game. If, for example, I'll click here on the star, then people are redirected to a template I created, kind of a worksheet. Then they would have to sign into their Canva account or create a new Canva account. But if you share a link to, let's say, a YouTube channel, then they're just going to be redirected to the YouTube channel. So your newsletter can be reached to anyone, can be opened by anyone. And the links inside, it depends where you are redirecting.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, this is more of a broad question about design that you might use, I guess, when designing a presentation. How do you develop, maybe you can give us 3 steps. How do you develop a design aesthetic? What are your top tips for coming up with a look of something?
Wow.
Quite a broad question.
Yeah, I'll try to sum it up. You would probably, okay, you have your brand identity. You should have. If you don't have, then create your brand identity. That means that you have your logo, you have your color palette, you have your fonts, and you stick to them. So everything that you do, whether it's a campaign, it's advertisement, it's social media posts, they all speak the same visual language. So once you have that, things are easier because you have your color palette and you have your logo, and then you just hop into Canva and you pick a template, so many presentation templates that you can start from. And then when you find the one that you like, you can easily customize it for your own use. You can change the colors. Of course, you will change the text. You can change the icons. You have in the black sidebar, the option, the tab of styles. With styles, you can just shuffle the colors and shuffle the fonts and have Canva do this for you and see what works best for your brand. So I would say start with just your brand kit and identifying your visual language. And then I think things will be much easier because the content is yours. You know what you want to put in it. And to visualize this better, you can just start with, you can start from scratch, of course, but start with a template is always a good idea because it's very, very inspirational. I hope I answered your question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a broad question, and I think just a few tips is really helpful. So thank you for that. How do you, now I've got a little tool for you here as well. How do you decide a color palette to use? So again, I guess if you've got a brand, you're going to have chosen a color palette. But if you are just designing something from scratch, do you go through a process of how to decide your colors? And I am going to share a link here to a tool we have in Canva, which is canva.com/colors, which helps you decide a color. So if you want to use, I'll share that in the chat right now. If you know the main color that you want to use, this tool will help you use complementary colors or colors with a nice relationship to that color. So I'll just pop that in, but maybe you have some advice beyond that, Hadas.
Okay, so first of all, very happy that you're sharing that because I wanted to mention that. It's a great tool that I recommend you use. But what I can help you with other than that is when you want to pick the colors, the right colors for your brand or campaign or service, whatever it is that you have. First of all, think of the colors that complement the idea or what stands behind your business. Use the right colors that complement what you are actually offering or teaching or doing. Once you do that using warm colors, cold colors, there are so many different types of colors. What you should do is use not more than 4, maximum 5 colors in one design. And when I say 4 colors, don't be intimidated. When I say 4 colors, there are so many colors and tones within one color. It should be, it goes like this. You have 2 contrast colors, very contrast colors. Let's say black and white. It doesn't have to be black and white, but that's the easiest example I can give you. So let's say you chose black and white, very contrast colors, and then you use 2 more players. You add 2 more colors that complement your contrast colors and that you can play around with. If, for example, you chose red and blue, within red, you have so many different tones of red. You can use it in a very wide range of reds. So try and play around with the colors that complement what it is that you're offering. And then within, don't play around with too many colors, and absolutely use the Canva color tool to find the right colors that go together.
Lovely. Okay, thank you very much. Super quick question. Does Canva have an inbuilt spell checker? And certainly one comes up for me when I'm typing. It will correct my spelling.
That's on your device. No, Canva doesn't have one. I have an extension that I added, but not yet, I should say.
Cool.
Who knows
Okay,
what
yeah.
the future
I didn't know whether it
holds?
was, pardon?
Who knows what the future holds in Canva?
Yeah. Well, we
But
can
not
all
at the
put in our
moment.
requests, can't we? Okay. Let's find, this one, which will be useful to everyone, I think. The question is, how can you find the right font combination for your presentation? So there is a tool, in fact, that Canva has that can help you with that.
Exactly. You can use the style tab that I was just talking about, and you will find there some mini tabs at the top that show you different combinations of fonts, also colors. And you can use that and see interesting combinations. There is also another place you can find interesting font combinations in Canva, and that would be also in the black bar, but then go to the text tab. So one option is go to the styles. The second one is go to the text tab. And then if you scroll down a bit, you can see text combinations, font combinations. You have like these little stickers that you can easily edit. You can change the text, you can change the color, you can change the fonts. But what you have there is a combination of two fonts. Usually that's two fonts, and they always work well together. So that's a good point, a good place to start with. And you know that these two will definitely go together. So check them out.
Yeah, absolutely. I just had a quick question there. How do we use the color tool that I just shared in the chat? So,
okay, would you like me to share this, or would you like to share?
Oh, sure, go ahead. Yeah, I was just going to talk it through, but if you're happy to open it up, then.
So you talk it through, and I'm just going to share it and then find it. Colors, there it is.
Yeah. So there's a lot of tools on this page that Hadas is opening up at the moment. And so it's not something that you add into your Canva tool. It's a website that you consult. So if you scroll up to the top there, you can see that we've got a color palette generator, a color palette ideas field, a color wheel, and then a whole bunch of information about color meanings. So if we pop into the color wheel there, this is one that I really like because you can choose different color relationships. So if you click on that, it'll open up a whole page dedicated to the color wheel. Now, if Hadas just chooses a color there, so say Hadas has got a brand and she knows that the main color that she wants to use is maybe this green or this yellow. First of all, it'll show you the hex code for that color. So you can paste that into Canva in your color palette and it'll bring up that exact yellow. And then below that, it'll start to tell you other colors that work with this color. And you can choose different color relationships. So this is complementary colors, and you can see that they're opposite each other on the color wheel there. And if you scroll through other color relationships, you can get more colors. So this is obviously using different tones of the same color, monochromatic, staying within that yellow range. Analogous, now you start to get more colors. So this is if you'd like 3 colors, for example, and you can just experiment with all those different relationships until you find one that works for you. So, and I love the way that underneath each color, you've got that hex code. So you can literally just click on it and say it says click to copy. And then when you go in and you create a shape in Canva and you go and change the color of that shape, you can paste in that hex code and you'll get exactly those colors. So you can be sure you're using the right ones. So loads to explore under
you
Canva.
can go for hours here.
For hours, exactly. And if you're not sure which color, you know, because colors do come with their own inherent meanings. And if you want to learn about what you are communicating by choosing a particular color, then that other one, which is all about color meanings, would be really useful reading for you.
Yeah, it's worth checking out. I highly encourage you to do so. Very interesting.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so I think it's time to wrap it up there for today. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Please make sure you've had your say in the feedback form, because not only is it your chance to give feedback on courses, but also it's your chance to have a say on what you would like to see webinars on in the future. So we absolutely take your suggestions on board and we use it to find out what our community wants and what kind of webinars to develop in the future. So make sure you jump on And a huge thank you to you, Hadas. Some of those ways of using presentations I had never thought of. And I really love the recipe one as well. I love all of them. Each time I see this, I love a different one, but the recipe one's fantastic. I think even for small kids, that's a lot of reading for kids to get through on recipes, but to have that step-by-step, nice, engaging colors and images, I think is a stroke of genius, actually.
Thank you.
So yeah, I know that our viewers enjoyed all those ideas too. So thank you so much. It's time to sign off. And we look forward to seeing you at the next Canva Space webinar. Check out canva.com/Canva-space for all the upcoming webinars. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jess.
See you next time.